Yeah. Hello. Yes, I'll attempt. No, go ahead. A ton has happened since then. The main thing being that Artemis 2 landed. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was definitely something that NASA was concerned about as well, which was why they chose to change the reentry profile at almost the last minute. Um, but no catastrophic failures. All 4 astronauts returned home safely. Um, and now at this point, I mean, mission debrief and like all that stuff has been done and over with for a good while. Um, yeah, bunches, so many photos have been uploaded to NASA's website. Way too many for us to talk about here, but if you're interested in those, definitely go check those out. There's a lot of really amazing photos on there. Uh, oh yes, the commander Reed Wiseman, he took a video of Earthset. Um, I think after he took the Earthset photo, that is actually our thumbnail for this episode. After he took that, he took a short video. You can watch the Earth fully set behind the moon, and it's really cool to watch. Uh, oh, that's pretty cool. It'll never be that shiny again. Yes, that's 3, potentially. But I don't think they've reused the capsule from Artemis 1 yet. So 3 might be getting no, 3 is getting a brand new Orion capsule. Yeah, and, the first stage, the center of the first stage, so the liquid fuel, um, tank and engine, um, has been moved inside of the VAB already. Uh, yeah, and I think within the next couple of days or weeks, the solid rocket fuel boosters will be done being, um, not built, but, whatever you wanna call it. And then, they'll be making their way from, uh, Alabama to Kennedy, which is Oh, they do, that is right. That is right. Yeah. We did? Oh, yeah, that's right. See, I told you my brother. Yeah, so they're saving that stage. So, basically, the upper stage, which would be the 3rd stage? Or the 2nd stage? I call them like a sub-stage, yeah, like a half stage. No, I'm not. Yeah, that is pretty weird. I'll try that in Kerbal, see what happens. Yeah. Well, I'll test it out and see what happens. Yeah, but if you do things radially, if you drop something from the left side and you drop the same amount of mass from the right side and it's perfectly mirrored, you doesn't change the center of anything. Yeah. Yeah, we could run some missions. That'd be pretty cool. But we were talking before the stream too about the skirt that they're going to be using on the second stage of Artemis 3 of the SLS. And we were questioning why they were even using a space launch system to launch Artemis 3. Uh, yeah, it sounds like it just would be difficult to do it in one launch. Yeah, yeah. The command module will be able to get it the rest of the way into a stable orbit. Um, where- yeah, which is also something that is going to be different about Artemis 3 than Artemis 2, aside from the fact that they're not leaving Earth orbit, is going to be that they're staying up there for longer this time. They're going to be testing the survivability in on longer missions. Um, there's not yet been a release on how long exactly they're going to be staying up in orbit, but I would say probably no less than about 15 days. Uh, so I was recently reading about Artemis 4, and they're planned to have total flight time of being in space at around 30 days, which is interesting because if I'm remembering correctly, Orion's life support systems can only last up to 21 days. So maybe that's just something that I was reading that they had 21 days of supplies for Artemis 2 in case of any mishaps or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Um, but also, we have to remember that two of the astronauts are going to be going down to the surface of the moon for 7 days. Um, so that could also change things. There could be, separate provisions on the lander um, versus in Orion. Um, but yeah, um, so Artemis 3 will be testing one or both commercially produced landers in low Earth orbit. That's still up in the air depending on um, those private companies, Blue Origin and SpaceX, actually finishing those landers and getting them um, ready in time for the mission, which is a pretty decent way. Yes, some big changes. Yep. And so the $23 million satellite it was carrying failed to meet stable orbit, get out of the atmosphere enough, and fell back down to Earth, burning up in the atmosphere. And the FAA has actually grounded New Glenn pending an investigation into why that happened. So this could seriously delay Blue Origin's ability to get their Blue Moon lander into space on time for Artemis 3 to even be able to dock with it, which could end up being a huge setback because it would absolutely baffle me if NASA were to select their lander with zero testing having been done with it. So if SpaceX is the only one that successfully gets a lander for NASA to play with on Artemis 3, it's highly likely that theirs is the lander that's going to be used. Yeah. And the other thing is looking at mock-ups of both the landers, Blue Moon looks to me like the better lander. HLS is very tall and skinny, which could be problematic if they don't have a decently flat enough landing zone. If anything goes wrong and they have to call an audible, it severely limits their landing options for where they can land, just because of how high the center of gravity of that thing is. Um, the Blue Moon lander is a lot shorter and fatter and really just looks like an updated version of NASA's lander from the 70s, from the Apollo missions. It's a little bit taller, a little bit fatter, definitely quite a bit bigger, um, but it follows all of those same like design features and looks like a lander. HLS looks like a small version of Starship.
So, not to derail this too much, but I just realized OBS was not picking up my microphone this whole time.
Oh no, so you've been talking and they've only been hearing me?
As far as I can tell, yes, it I thought it was picking up my mic, but it was not showing anything. It's fixed now. It's working now, but
That's hilarious. Oh, we should just leave it that way and let people be confused.
Yeah, because they're gonna see me talking in the video, but they're just gonna be hearing your voice.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any way to recover that audio. It's not being recorded.
No, I forgot to record it. If I was recording, it would have been recording through whatever OBS was hearing.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
This is only our second episode, and as we've learned from second flights from Blue Origin and everyone else, and or SpaceX, all of them, they don't always go perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Things mess up,
I mean, eventually,
unfortunately.
someday, you'll have a webcam.
Eventually. Not today. Not today. Um, so man, what other news is there?
Let me think. Now that we have audio going, we can really talk about it all.
Yeah, we hit on most of the points we wanted to hit on already, and they're just here on my side.
Yeah, so we've got Blue Origin. They have to figure out their stuff. SpaceX will have an exciting launch coming up. Yeah, what other major events happened? I mean, nothing major is going on with any other companies that I know of. Rocket Lab's getting closer to launching their Electron rocket, but that might slip to
Hmm.
next year, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
You know who's launching rockets like absolute mad?
China.
China.
They've
I
been,
check
yeah.
upcoming rocket launches all the time, and they have like two rocket launches a week. And um, granted, it's from like five or six different launch pads that they have in space centers and things like that.
I think some of them might be commercial too. I'm not even sure if all of them are. I'm looking at my app now. I'm not even sure if all of
Well,
them are government or not. Like the Long March is government one, but if like you see any other ships,
yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any other information other than a launch is happening. Um, we it is believed that most of these launches are satellites and things like that going up because one of the main launch facilities that they use is literally called the Satellite Launch Complex. So what
well,
else is going to be coming out of there? And we know that none of the rockets that they have been launching have been crewed.
um,
Um, so these are all unmanned launches, but
I know
still.
there is a few crewed, or at least I know they've got a space station up there. And actually, I don't have an exact date on this one, but sometime this month, Shenzhou, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Shenzhou 23 is going to be launching another crewed mission to their space station.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's the 11th flight to the Chinese space station.
Way to go, China. Good job.
Yeah, and
Space. We like space.
it's amazing because no one ever really talks about that China's got a space station that's been up there long enough to have 11 crewed flights up now. So it's just kind of
That's
crazy.
pretty impressive.
I think I heard that they recently just added on the space station too. They added another module.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
I wonder.
China's doing
I wonder
good.
who they're working.
They might beat us to the moon. Beat us back to the moon.
I highly doubt that.
We don't know a lot of what they're launching. For all we know, they could already be on the moon. I don't think they're already on the moon. We hear about
No,
that, but
we would know. We would know. Are you kidding me? The moment that anything left Earth orbit, we would know about it. Maybe not the moment, but as soon as it was definitely able to tell that, hey, that thing's not going to geostationary orbit, it's going outside of geostationary orbit, we would know. We got all kinds of things to track stuff.
theoretically, however,
Yeah, true.
yeah, I don't know how well they could really track it because I know we keep track of everything that goes into orbit, but if we suddenly see something not in orbit, would we assume it deorbited or would we assume it went out of space?
I don't know, don't they have like real-time tracking capabilities of things that are in orbit to know where they're at so we can prevent collisions?
True. We also know a lot of the like unmanned stuff they send in the moon, but who's to say they say they're sending something unmanned and it's not unmanned?
True.
Would they do that? Probably not, but Then again, the
Also, I feel like for a manned mission, they would need to contact at least a couple other nations for access to their communication systems because while China's pretty big, it's not big enough for their rocket to only talk to China all the time.
it depends because the I think a lot of unmanned satellites that you've been seeing going up are their own like constellation, like Starlink. So if they could just bounce stuff off one way or another, like we do between the Starlink satellites, they might not need as many ground tracking stations.
That's true. That's true.
And I mean, yeah, we're getting into a lot of theoretical stuff right now, but we've covered
Definitely.
a lot of big space news, so now we get to play around with what could happen.
Yeah. I'm just excited for Artemis 3 at this point. Like, it's pretty exciting. I'm hoping that Blue Origin gets their shit together and is able to launch Blue Moon to partake in the docking trials, um, and SpaceX as well, because I would genuinely like for the better of the two systems to be chosen and not have it be like a default, oh, you guys didn't make it, so we're going with the other one. Um,
We, I have more faith in Blue Origin than I have faith in SpaceX right now. Only for the fact that Blue Origin has shown more of their hardware. They've got a spacecraft that at least 2 out of 3 times, or got a rocket that at least 2 out of 3 times has gotten a spacecraft into orbit.
yeah. Well, and the other thing, looking at the weight of Blue Moon, like the projected weight of the finished lander, it looks like they could potentially launch it on Falcon 9 Heavy and not need to use New Glenn. So even if New Glenn causes issues with the fact that it's currently grounded, they still might be able to get it to orbit.
Do you believe that there might be some issues between Blue Origin and SpaceX launching their craft on a SpaceX rocket?
Because they're corporations, I could see some squabbling. Um, so I don't know. I would like to believe that SpaceX would do the altruistic thing and help just for the sake of advancing science. Um, but at the same time, I
Oh,
don't know because, you know,
speaking of
if
advancing
they,
science, um, sorry, we can finish our SpaceX topic, but after that, I want to jump into the nuclear rocket that they're going to be launching.
oh yeah. Um, but I just don't know because when corporations come in, they always want the bottom line and money for the shareholders and things like that. And could you imagine the how pissed off some people in SpaceX and on the board and stuff would be if they launched Blue Moon for Blue Origin on one of their SpaceX rockets, and then Blue Moon was chosen as the lander to go to the moon, and they didn't get that contract?
So I could see it going both ways. They could either say we couldn't get our Starship going, but we launched their ship. However, you can also spin it as they needed us to get their thing in orbit. They couldn't do it on their own. So it really
Yeah,
depends on
but
how they spin it.
yeah. And then the other thing, I have another question about Artemis 4, before we go to the nuclear rocket thing, is I've been reading a lot about the missions and things like that. And it seems like the plan, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, because there's not a lot of information out there about the full plan and everything, but it seems like the plan is to get the landers to orbit around the moon separate from Orion and have them dock in orbit around the moon before landing.
Yes, I believe that is the current plan.
So SLS will not be launched. It won't be a quote unquote Apollo style mission where they disconnect from the main hub of the rocket, turn around, grab the lander, and then go to the moon. They'll be meeting the lander at the moon.
Yes, because I do not believe they could turn around and dock with Starship after. Just imagine the Orion capsule just sitting on top of Starship as it flies up.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Um,
But Scott, yeah. So Scott Manley did a video today on the nuclear craft. Everyday Astronaut did a video today on HLS, and in his video he talked a lot about the how many refueling missions they're going to need just to get enough fuel to get HLS Starship out to the moon, and then after it comes back, it lands and comes back in lunar orbit. They're gonna have to make another tanker that they send out to the moon, or multiple tankers even potentially to fill it back up again. Like it's
Now, why
gonna
would they not just leave it in orbit around the moon for later missions?
Well, they will, but they're gonna have to keep sending more fuel to it
Mhm.
to be able to land and come back because it still takes a lot of fuel for to land that much mass.
See, this would be great if we had the Lunar Gateway,
But
because
Lunar
then,
Gateway is just getting retrofitted into other projects now.
yeah. But
Like
if we had Lunar Gateway, it could just redock with Lunar Gateway, and Lunar Gateway could just hold fuel for it, and we could send a larger amount of fuel. Because that's the other thing. What's preventing them from just sending a big old tanker to orbit the moon?
get still getting the fuel over there. We could get the tanker and we could get it sent over. However, we how much fuel is it going to cost you to send that much mass into translunar injection?
That's true.
Until we can actually start generating fuel on the moon, which if we can find enough water on the moon, Blue Moon has a better chance of getting more fuel than HLS
Yeah.
because Blue Moon uses hydrogen and oxygen engines. Starship uses methane and oxygen engines. So
Yeah.
I
And
don't
I'm
think there's
I'm
methane on the moon, as far as I know.
I'm 99% certain there's no methane on the moon. Isn't methane one of those things that's only created by life?
I don't know because I think on
I
Europa
could be very
or
wrong.
one of those other moons, maybe Titan, one of those other moons out there has a lot of methane. So there's a lot of methane out there in the further solar system. Now, if we ever get really far traveling, we could get fuel depots out there, but that's
It's it's definitely not only made by life. I was talking out of my butt.
well,
Yeah.
that's also how we expect a lot of methane to be made.
True. True. That's also very true.
We'll send cows to the moon. They will make methane for us. But other than that, the nuclear rocket, have you heard anything more about that recently?
I have not.
So, from what I was understanding from Scott Manley's video, it is going to have a nuclear payload on it, which is going to be different from the RTG, um, the radioisotope thermal generators that they used to have on the old spacecraft. This one's actually going to be like a fission nuclear reactor. So, it's going to be like a full reactor, and they might use some sort of like Stirling engine or something that'd be more efficient for that size than like the water steam turbines we use on Earth here. However, it is, and they was talking about like how like the shielding has to be done a certain way, so it's not because fission reaction produces a lot of like alpha, beta, and like gamma particles. I think so. They have to have the shielding like almost like a cone that will wrap around the ship or something like, or like just like this triangular thing right behind it, which will deflect any rays away.
Yeah.
And then they are going to be using the because this is that ship that they announced that's going to go to Mars, I think. Um, but they're going to be using the uh, not payload. The engine compartment from Lunar Gateway, which is going to be like ion engines or something originally, but they're going to be using the nuclear. I'm having a lot of brain farts right now. The nuclear reactor to power it instead of solar panels.
Okay, that's definitely super cool.
And it's going to be like a proof of concept thing. And I think it might be this ship that launches the next helicopters on Mars.
Oh yeah, that's super exciting.
But the big thing
Since
that Scott was saying was that the this reactor is actually going to have an ablative heat shield around it. So if there's any problems during launch and the rocket breaks up, it will still re-enter the Earth's atmosphere and land safely, and it's not going to like dissipate radioactive material anywhere.
that's smart. I'm glad they thought of that. That would be bad to just have, a radiation shower.
I don't think we actually had that on Apollo 13, but there was a RTG on the lunar module of Apollo 13 that re-entered the Earth's atmosphere when they lost it. But I
Oh,
think it either landed in the ocean or it was like shielded in some way where it was safe.
yeah. Because aren't both of the rovers on Mars right now that are currently active? They're both powered by RTGs.
They are.
Yeah.
I wonder if so. We've lost the Viking landers a long time ago, I think, but they had
Yeah.
RTGs on them.
Yeah, but they were small.
They were small because that was the early days. That was back when we launched.
They were only set to last like 2.5, 3 years. Whereas the ones powering Curiosity and what's the other one?
I think Voyager.
Perseverance?
Yeah, Perseverance and Curiosity.
Perseverance and Curiosity. The ones powering those have like a 10-year life
Yeah,
or,
and if we can
or
start doing these
more.
like tiny reactors for spacecraft that they're going to be sending out to Mars now, those will have even longer life, I think.
Yeah.
Because
So that'll be interesting.
because the thing is with those is like a regular power plant, RTGs they're just constantly emitting heat and they're just always on. From what I
Hmm.
understand with these fission reactors, you can turn them off if you need to.
Yes. So that would be pretty cool. I would love for us to get a handle on fusion because that would open up a ton of possibilities for powering rockets and things. I don't know if there would be a way for us to turn that into propulsion, but I know it would, man, would we be able to pack so much more power into a much smaller space than having to use fission.
I believe that they've talked about nuclear craft that do use the like some sort of reaction itself instead of like the electrical conversion, but is probably way far off. And
Yeah.
probably a lot of theory until you actually get into space to test it because no one wants to test that on Earth.
Yeah, well, with fusion, we could safely test it on Earth because it releases way less harmful radiation. Like, I mean, by multiple orders of magnitude less. So,
Well,
um,
I believe once we get to the moon and we can start getting more helium 3 and all the other isotopes that exist mostly on the moon, we could do a lot more fusion research than we do now because right now it's so hard to come across those materials on Earth. I think helium 3 is actually a byproduct of nuclear reactions now. So we can get it from nuclear plants, but it's still hard to get.
yeah, but it's not that it's not here. It's that the place that it is the most is the oceans, and then it's stupid hard to get it out of there. Like the amount of energy that you have to use to get it out of the water is extremely high. And so it's actually cheaper to go to the moon, collect it on the moon and send it back to Earth per like gram than it is to extract it from the oceans, which is insane. But it's the whole reason why they're looking at doing it in the first place.
If we could ever get manufacturing going on the moon, and actually generate fuel on the moon, it does not take much propellant to send things back to Earth.
No, not at all. And yeah, like you were saying, if there's any water on the moon, that has 100% of the resources that we need to make hydrolocks. So we've got rocket fuel. If there's enough water for us to actually do anything with, we can make rocket fuel.
Imagine if we could get the materials. I don't know what type of heat shield you can make, but if you could make a heat shield from the materials you can mine on the moon, we have fuel and we could generate capsules to send them right back to Earth and not have to keep having them sent to the moon to bring back and everything.
Yep. And then, if they can get iron on the moon, there's the potential to be able to make steel.
And I
And
believe
then
there is
like
iron on the moon. Somewhere deep down, I believe there are iron plates on the moon.
so I know that the core of the moon is also iron because are you familiar with the main theory of how the moon came to be?
There's a couple of theories. I'm not sure what is determined as the main theory.
I believe the main theory is the collision with what was it, Thea? Very early in Earth's life, there was an object that collided with it
And broke
that
off a chunk, and that became the moon.
broke off a third of the mass of the Earth from the time, and that, but also dropped a bunch of the mass of the object that hit us. So that's why Earth is abnormally dense for its size with the iron core and all that stuff. And then some of that also was in the moon. And then the rest of that object just fucked off into space somewhere. Um, but I'm pretty sure that's the leading theory right now. I could be wrong.
I'm sure as we explore more of the moon, we'll discover a lot more about how it,
How it formed, yeah.
yeah, because we've only scratched the surface of what's on the moon.
Quite literally. Quite literally, we have only scratched the surface. If we get a permanent base on the moon, they're going to do drilling and we'll be able to take samples from way deeper into the moon's core, into the moon's surface than we can here on Earth because the moon is cold. It doesn't have a molten core. So,
I'm not even sure how much the molten core is affecting. Well, I guess we have a lot of heat that we get from deep in the Earth, but it's also just
yeah, that's
pressure
what,
as well.
yes. So, at a certain point, the pressure will also become the problem on the moon. But the heat combined with the pressure is the main problem on Earth because the tips of the drills that they've used to drill into the Earth, like that one hole in Russia where they dug like I think 12 kilometers or some crazy number,
Mm-hmm.
like way too deep. But literally, they'd get their drill bits down there and they'd just freaking melt immediately.
Did you hear about
Just
the hole they dug in Antarctica, or the Russians dug in Antarctica?
yeah, that's actually some really cool stuff.
It dug so deep they found liquid water.
There's underground lakes under that thing, man, and there might be life in them
There is life. They found life
that is
that has never we've never seen before.
completely isolated from the rest of the planet.
That's
Like,
wild to think about.
oh my, like, how are they surviving? Because the sunlight's not getting that far. So, like, there's this entire ecosystem. Oh, it's so cool. Hopefully, there's nothing that will kill us down there,
I mean, what's another plague? Knock on wood.
right? We already did it once in our lifetime. Why not do it again?
I'd rather not. I'm too young for this.
Yeah, same. But yeah, it's all crazy, interesting stuff. And we've been positing theories for like the last 30 minutes. But
30 minutes out of a 40-minute runtime.
yeah, I'm extremely excited for all these upcoming missions.
I'm
And I
really
hope that,
excited for 'cause 2 days from now should be the Starship launch, I believe. It might slip, but it should be on Tuesday. And if it is, we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about in our next podcast.
oh, absolutely. I don't know why, but I always hope it blows up.
I hope it doesn't, but There's definitely more of a chance because it's so much new things being tested on version 3.
Yeah, all the engines are the same though, right?
No, this is their first launch of the Raptor 3s. They were using Raptor 1s and 2s before.
Oh, great. So yeah, it might blow up.
Have you seen the Raptor 3s? They look like they should not be a rocket engine. They are so tiny. Or not tiny, but like they don't have all of the tubing and stuff running around the outside. Somehow SpaceX has brought a lot of the piping and the wiring and everything inside the like engine bell and engine stuff
What the
itself.
hell is this thing?
I see you found
I
it.
just Googled it. What in the world?
Yeah. And early images they released of that, everyone thought, okay, it's just not finished yet. But then they lit it, looking like that, and it worked.
Looking from the Raptor 1 to the Raptor 2 to the Raptor 3. Yeah, man, that is insane. That is insane.
I it works. We'll see how well it does on a long mission. We'll see if I don't know if this mission if they're gonna try to catch it or not with the new pad because they might be afraid of breaking this new pad. But
Yeah,
we will find out on Tuesday, hopefully, if not later.
yeah, that'll be super interesting. Looking forward to it.
Well, I think that's probably it for us, unless we've got any more exciting news that has just popped in or anything.
No, I can't think of anything. I think that's a good place to wrap it up for today.
Yeah, hopefully
And we'll
we'll
be,
come back sooner than a month and a half before the next one. Maybe we can get one in like a week or two once Starship launches. We can discuss it.
yeah, yeah, we can definitely aim for that for sure. I'll try to have a webcam by then.
Sounds good. Hey, I don't even know what your work schedule. We can talk offline about what your work schedule is, but maybe we can even live stream during the launch.
Quite possibly because I am off on Tuesday.
Well, hopefully it launches Tuesday then.
All right, we will see y'all next time.
Yep, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.